The 25th Hour Radio Show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in today to the 25th Hour Radio Show here on Monster Radio, AM 1150. I am your host, Rob Fairless, and on the phone with me today is singer-songwriter Stephen Pearcy, who might be best known as the frontman for the mega platinum metal band Ratt. Stephen's also an accomplished solo artist as well, and we'll talk a little bit about a new album Stephen has coming out here in a few. Stephen, thanks for taking a few minutes out of your day to join me on the show.
Pleasure. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Let's just start the show off like this. I know you have a very interesting story in how you got turned on to music initially. Do you mind sharing on what inspired you to pursue music as a career?
Wow. In short, yeah, I was a pit crew guy. Wanted to be one of the youngest, not the youngest, top fuel dragster drivers, funny car in the mid 70s. And what happened? My mom had remarried, moved to San Diego, and I came off a race circuit and was plopped down in the middle of San Diego, and I was a cement pirate from LA. You know, music was the furthest thing from my mind, and although I listened to it, and I didn't know if Alice Cooper was a chick or a guy, and got into an accident. The first year there, got run over, got pretty bashed up, broke both legs, and ended up with a nice 5-month stint on my back in the hospital as a kid, but making the best of it. But somebody handed me a guitar, an acoustic guitar in there, and the doctor said, well, you're not going to race. You do that and get in a wreck, you're not going to be in good shape. So somebody gave me an acoustic guitar, and they know who they are. I don't remember who the person was, but I kind of just adapted to it. I went, oh, okay. I had my sister's boyfriend at the time, a guitar player guy, teach me a couple chords, complicated ones at that. They weren't your standard A, with one finger flat. They were chord structures. Yeah. And so anyway, I taught myself guitar, and when I got out of the hospital, I just kept playing. I was a fan of Zeppelin and Sabbath and Blue Oyster Cult, Cooper, plenty bands, Uriah Heep, you name it, even Sly and the Family Stone. And I just adapted, and I started writing songs day one. I just started writing my own songs, and eventually somebody approached me and said, hey, can you sing? And I went, I guess. I'm here to audition as a guitar player. And they said, all right, well, can you sing? And me, okay, sure. Anyway, I started fronting bands, and next thing you know, I said, you know what? I can sing and play.
Hey, man, this might seem like a silly question to those who've seen you perform, but did you ever have to get over some form of stage fright? In the very beginning, did Stephen Pearcy ever get nervous in front of a crowd?
No, when I first started singing, and there's funny-looking pictures of me in one of my first bands, wearing a corduroy coat. Total 70s Ridgemont High, I kind of adapted to it, but I didn't really want to sing, kind of thrown into it. But when I could play guitar and sing or do both, which I taught myself to do, I started writing songs immediately, and that was the late 70s. I said I'm going to, was in a couple bands, and then I finally just said, look, I'm starting a band. It's called Mickey Ratt, add another T. That was in 77 or 8, and most of the songs I wrote then, like You Got It, Sweet Cheater, Never Use Love, Tell the World, all ended up on the first EP, and some of them on later records. But it was interesting. I just pretty much adapted, and then it just became a like something I had to do every day. I had to write songs every day. It didn't matter how, when, what. And to this day, I still have that, drive to always write. Hence all these things I'm doing, and to me, it doesn't matter if it sells 20 million or no million. It's done for me. I mean, I have to get off on the stuff. So, and it just worked. I mean, and that's where it all started with and unfortunately an accident turned into a blessing,
You're talking about your early music. How did you guys get discovered back in the day? Was it like in the movies where a guy walks up to you, after a show, hands you a business card and says, I want to cut a record with you? I mean, was it like that? I mean, how did your big break, was it like that?
Well, almost, I mean, a friend of mine in the 70s, when I started playing in L.A., I'd go back and forth to L.A. and San Diego and started doing the backyard parties and jamming. And he'd always tell me, you got to see this band called Van Halen playing Gazaris. They're like, they play Zeppelin, just like Zeppelin. And I was such a Zeppelin freak. I got to see them a few times, the original band. And this was around 77. And I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. Wow, it sounds amazing. He's like, no, you really have to see him. And then, hence 1978, I decided, well, I know where these guys go, what they do. I go backstage, try to get into the sports arena in San Diego, like that other movie, and Almost Famous. And I see Dave walking upstairs at the Whiskey, and I'm like, oh, my friend said they're at the Whiskey now. And I went, hey, okay. Anyway, I got a hold of Dave, and sure enough, I introduced myself to Ed, and we did the circuit. I booked the band, Mickey Ratt, for years, and members came and went, and I didn't give up, and eventually, when the lineup was pretty much as we knew it in '83. We're headlining the Whiskey. We worked ourselves up from Gazaris to Troubadour to every club you can think of in L.A. And lo and behold, one night, Marshall Burrow, Milton Berle's nephew, who was the manager, just saw us play, and he just went, oh, man, there's something here with these guys. And what's ironic is he managed Van Halen in the first few years in that second record. So it just seemed just a little too coincidental. So we ended up signing an EP deal. We're going to make plastic, Went and recorded all the songs we knew, Mickey Ratt songs, and You Think You're Tough, Walking the Dog by Rufus Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
The reason we did Walking the Dog is because the only bands who have done it were Aerosmith and the Stones. So we wanted to be like Aerosmith and the Stones. So, hence the EP. EP sold a lot of records. We kept moving up the ladder. Motley was a bit before us, and next thing you know, we're doing Palladium, Beverly Theater, Santa Monica Civic, and we got signed backstage on Atlantic from the president of Atlantic Records, '84, March, I believe, we thought, hey, if Atlantic Records is good enough for Zeppelin and the Stones, it's good enough for Ratt. We're on our way. And lo and behold, it's history.
Yeah, man, like you say, the rest is history. You've went on to sell millions of albums. You've released your own book, Sex, Drugs, Ratt and Roll, a few years back. I was reading an article about that book, or it might have been an interview you did. I'm not quite sure, and I apologize if I'm wrong on this. But it says, or you stated that you worked on that book for almost 5 years. I mean, is that true?
Yeah, a long time. Yeah, a long time. And, we turned it into kind of like a scripted, like people talking. And they were. I wanted people to tell their part of the story because I couldn't remember a good 3 years of those 10 years,
Yeah.
Not at all. and I left a lot of stuff out of there, like meeting Kissinger in New York and all these crazy people and but I'll be writing another one real soon, probably at the end of the year, and it won't be just all about, sex and drugs. Those are old habits, but Ratt and roll still exists, and, on that topic, that's what's that.
Yeah.
And I've got the solo my fourth solo record coming out, Smash, which actually took a couple years to write. We took our time, Eric and I, my guitar player. And I was then in my solo band for like 15 years, and through Frontiers, we took our time and made a great record for once, and a sober one.
Yeah, I've listened to a few of the singles off the new album. And my personal favorite at the moment is Want Too Much. What's that famous line in Jerry Maguire when the actress Renee Zellweger, she says, "You had me at hello," right? Well, this song had me at the opening guitar riff, man. It grabs you right at the very beginning and kind of commands your attention, man. I dig it.
What's interesting is anything I do, whether it's Vertex Petrelli or Arcade with Corey and these other guys, Frankie and everybody, I sound like me. And that's a compliment, but, I just try to do different things. So that definitely has a Ratt vibe, that song. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of great songs on there. The best ones have yet to be heard. There's some, we seriously thought out that record. It's not just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. There's some fun stuff, really heavy stuff in there. There's some thinking stuff and underground, underworld, above ground. There's some heavy stuff in there, and took a while. So we're happy with it. It comes out on the 27th, and doing some solo dates, a solo tour, and dates, and then there will be some Ratt shows with Warren, Juan, myself, and Carlos coming up, and we'll see what happens. It'll be a Ratt and Roll Smash 2017.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, you can go to Steven's website, steven-pearcy.com, and you can get links to listen to a few of those songs on the new album. Now, are you a big social media fan? Do you have a favorite social media site that people can find you on more than others?
There's people that have created a bunch for me. I just found them out like a couple, recently. They've been doing it for years, and it's kind of a good thing because, people think they're me, and it's not me. So I do have official sites, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, I call it. I go on there once in a while, and I'll give a yelp or throw out some kind of message. And, what I'm doing now is like throwing out lines of some verses of the new song, every now and then, give people a little different twist of promotion here, And this is actually the second record where I'm actually put all of my lyrics in, which I hate doing.
Yeah.
The last one I did was Detonator, and Smash. It'll be the last ones I do.
Well, man, like I mentioned to you earlier, I don't want to take up too much of your time here today. I just wanted to let everyone know in this area that you do have a new album coming out and to give a little info on that. And before we wrap everything up here, is there anything you might want to mention to those out there listening right now who are fans of yours, who have supported your music throughout the years?
Well, it's living dangerously, situation, and nobody said it was what, it's really not what people think is rock and roll business. It is the music business. But, it's 33 years later, and people still want to hear it, so we'll still deliver it the proper way. And I still enjoy meeting people when I can, playing music and having a good time, but I've got other things I got to do, but it's always a pleasure, and it's very appreciative, that people still, Ratt and roll. It's still exciting, believe it or not. It's still exciting.
Well, Steven, thank you so much for taking the time out today to speak with me on the show. Good luck with the album and the tour.
Thank you very much.
25th Hour Radio Show.